So this guy's life in hockey and off the ice got to be the most diverse you ever heard of. Not that he did anything bad or anything unusual, just he's connected with so many things, from pro wrestling to the Manitoba Sports Hall of Fame to one of the weirdest overtime games involving Toronto Maple Leafs ever. And he was also traded but wasn't traded. If that makes any sense. He was traded but didn't trade. And Dave Semenko was his first opponent in the NHL. Well, you're going to be talking about one person, even though it sounds like seven. The very talented and the very, very underrated, I still think he's underrated, Cam Connor. Now, Cam Connor came to heavy major prominence by playing in the Winnipeg or Manitoba minor hockey system. Skated with the St. Boniface Saints and the Winnipeg Jets of the MJHL and WCHL respectively in 1972. 73, he was with St. Boniface and Winnipeg again, but when he excelled in 74 with the Flin Flon Bombers, 91 goals in 65 games, he became a high draft pick of the Montreal Canadiens that year, 5th overall, and also taken 4th overall by the fledgling Phoenix Roadrunners. Now, Cam grew up being best friends with all people. WWE Hall of Fame wrestler Roddy Piper, who was a lifelong friend, and Rowdy one and Connor were close friends until Piper's death, due to, as he predicted, early old age. Now, in his last year of junior hockey, he was named captain of Flin Flon Bombers, Bobby Clark's former amateur team, and those 91 points included 376 minutes and penalties. Now, he won the Rookie of the Year that year, and he claims a lot of his success is due to Coach Pat Ginnell having the confidence in him to make him captain. Now, he was a Rookie of the Year again for Flin Flon, made the All-Star team, and he ended up being a number 17 overall prospect in the Hockey News ranking for the 74 draft, but the Montreal Canadiens saw a lot in him and were hoping he was going to basically sign. Now, Phoenix took him as well. Now, the Roadrunners decide to make a big offer to Connor, like a lot of money. I'm hearing 6 figures. And he ended up choosing the WHA instead of the Habs, a move he says now he regrets. Montreal coach, the Hall of Famer Scotty Bowman, offered to beat the WHA's offer, but Connor, being a stand-up guy, had already given his word, did not want to go back on it. He began his WHA career with the Phoenix Roadrunners before a stint with the Arrows, where he played with Gordie Howe and his sons Marty and Mark. He found great success at WHA and was selected to the 77 All-Star team. When the Houston Aeros folded, he joined the Montreal Canadiens in 78, who had his rights. Now, the 78 season was just a nightmare for him because, he had a bad injury at the end of the 78 season, which required surgery. Now, he was known to be a fighter as well. He was Dave Semenko's first battler in the WHA. Now, his WHA rights were purchased from Houston by Winnipeg, but he argued that he should be a free agent and attempted to jump to the NHL for the 79 season. The NHL ultimately approved the signing and allowed Connor to enter the league with Montreal. Now, that year with Montreal, again, it was a kind of bizarre one as well. He had missed the final 3 rounds of 79 playoffs with back muscles weakened by food poisoning that left him bedridden for days and turned a more devastating intestinal infection. Now, the problem dragged on into 1979 training camp for Edmonton and delayed the start of the season when Edmonton took him in the interleague draft. Now, in that 79 campaign, again, he was playing with injuries and severe food poisoning, and league rules said Connor did not play enough playoff games to have his name engraved on the cup. His teammates rallied around him and said his name was not on the cup. None of their names should be on the cup. The league refers to their decision. His name was included on the Stanley Cup. Now, he did play 23 games in 79, but of course that famous curling rock overtime win, it was a double overtime face-off. He won it. He moved towards the net. didn't really get the shot off on Palmateer. Palmateer let the puck slide underneath his right pad, and here you go, he becomes an instant hero in Montreal. And to see everybody jump on the ice and celebrate him was quite quite an emotional moment. Now, when the Oilers moved into the NHL, he selected Connor as the number 1 pick in the expansion draft. But Montreal had made a side deal to take Connor that ensured Montreal it could pass on the other players to take Connor. So they made a trade with Edmonton so that the Canadians could protect another player. So it's not that they wanted him, but the fact is the Montreal made a trade worth their while. Now, he eventually had some success in Edmonton, and he played with Wayne Gretzky on the same line, but eventually showed up with the New York Rangers. But he never told them he was traded, ladies and gentlemen. He found out on the radio. Now, Cam had battled chronic injuries during his 3 seasons with the Rangers. He performed well in the playoffs, scoring quite a number of points, but unfortunately broke his back in 2 spots, another major injury that ended his NHL career and EHL career with the Tulsa Oilers. Now, talking about rough statistics here, ladies and gentlemen, Phoenix Roadrunners, his best season was 76 with 18 goals in 73 games with the Arrows. Put up some dynamite numbers, 56 goals over 2 seasons, 79 with the Habs, 4 points in 22 regular season games, 1 goal in the playoffs. And with the Rangers, again, limited action, saw a lot of action in the AHL, especially with New Haven and Springfield. But his performance in the 82 playoffs really stands out because he never played with them in the regular season, but scored 4 goals in the playoffs. In the last season with Tulsa, 50 points in 64 games. So, WHA totals, 83 goals and 171 points in 274 games. NHL, 31 points, including 9 goals and 89 contests. But Connor, big guy, 6'2", sometimes weighing in at 210, 220 pounds. He's... what was kind of bizarre about this, trouble would usually follow him in the wrong ways. He collected 7 penalty minutes in his first game with the Rangers on March 12, 1980, but then missed the playoffs. Most of it with a wrist injury that year. Now, he did win an Adams Cup with Tulsa in 84 and also played on the regular season champions in Houston in 77. Now, we're talking about injuries. He missed part of the 75 season with a broken leg, part of the 78 season with a broken left hand, and eventually decided to retire because injuries were getting too much. Now returned to Edmonton and went through computer consulting business after retirement, becoming a branch manager with DKW Systems. Now, post hockey as well, a lot of interesting things went on in his career. He became the assistant coach of the New Haven Dynamite for a while. During the first Heritage Classic, he was selected to Montreal Canadiens legend teams, and he was only one of 2 players present that played both the Oilers and Canadiens. Now, he was inducted in the Manitoba Hockey Hall of Fame in 2016, and he's also seen at charity events, does motivational speaking when called upon, and hosts a very popular podcast, View from the Penalty Box. Now, Connor also competed on the All Athletes All-Star edition of Wipeout Canada on April 24th, 2011. So again, just to recap, the big recognition: Manitoba Sports Hall of Fame, Stanley Cup winner of Montreal in 79, Rookie of the Year and All-Star Game selection with Flynn Fowler in 74, WHA All-Star Team selection 77, Adams Cup winner in 84, of course, Tom Webster team. He represented the Habs at the Heritage Classic game in 2003, and again, the very personal and the very deserving Manitoba Hockey Hall of Fame induction. Because, Winnipeg makes the best and celebrates the best. So this is Legend of Cam Connor. If you like what we're doing here, ladies and gentlemen, give us a like, comment, or subscribe. Don't forget players like Cam coming from the Midwest of Canada were hot in the 1970s. He could have went top 10, but I think Montreal saw him later on that they probably saw in Doug Wickenheiser, a good, Central Canada boy, good on the offense, good on the defense, wasn't scared to scrap, but he also already had a Rick Chartraw to do those duties, so, but Connor WHA was a good fit for him. I think his best years were there, in my personal opinion. Thanks for listening. Bye.